Hi folks, hope you're well. This is one of the very last walks I had with these doggies before the SSPCA come and stole them away. Yeah. Again, that's what God wanted, so there you go. It's what it is. It's just obviously, it still is what it is. Anyway, to the point of this video. Your life when you were born was certainly up until a point belonged to you. For you to choose who and what you wish to bow down to. The choice is always given to the individual. Said otherwise, we would be robots and we will complain that God is forcing us to worship him and therefore not much of a God because we don't have a choice. So therefore we are given choice. A lot of people would say, if God was real, why doesn't he just prove it? Why doesn't he make it absolute in time? Because then we would have no choice. It has to be faith-based. It has to be that situation where faith is where you start. Well, belief, then faith, then knowledge, then understanding. But each individual must start first of all with belief and then faith, moving on to knowledge. Because once you walk out faith and you know it to be true, now because you know it, it's now knowledge. So faith has to come to the point of knowing, because faith is believing in what you cannot see. Knowledge is knowing what you believe to be absolutely true, because it's been tested. When you walk that faith out, you are testing that. And so therefore, and that's why in churches nowadays, they have no testing. But the reality is, this is why one of the first things that I learned, one of the first things that God taught me, is that life is like a chess game. And when you give your life to God, when you come to a church, you are playing against an enemy that has thousands of years of experience. And this is what we tend to forget. We think somehow that when we give our lives to God that we are equal to the devil. No. You're playing a game that you barely understand the rules of, and you're playing against an enemy who has thousands of years of experience in turning people away from God, in helping people to forget or to never know who they are. And so, when we look at the church as it is, we know that the devil has thousands of years of experience. And so, he's used that. He's used that to bring the church into how it is right now. Something definitely is the case, and it has been the case for a long time, that in the UK, I can't speak about other nations, but, well, say you can to a certain degree, because if you're getting pastors from America, if you're getting pastors from South Africa, if you're getting pastors from Germany and from Spain, you've got a pretty good idea that in those nations they do things pretty similar, because we're getting those people from those areas and they're coming over here, whether they're trained in Germany or trained in Spain. How they're trained is how the people in those countries are being trained to do things, yes? So if you get someone who's been trained in that system, then you know everyone else in that system is being trained to do things the same way. Because they are. So, I mean, yeah. The idea of training people according to college is highly demonic. And, yeah, because it's of this world. Because colleges are of a worldly system of educating people. Worldly system, demonic. Because the God of this world is the devil. He owns it. So therefore he owns the systems. Again, the church should be teaching this, but it won't. And the reason why it won't is because of the fact it doesn't want people to know. It wants people to believe that, well, obviously, the church system of training people is of God. Because we, the leaders of this church, have been trained according to that system. If it's demonic, it means that we are therefore demonic. And we can't be that because we are the leaders of your church. Right? The devil's very clever. Very clever. You just look at what happened around, the 30 years before the Second World War, 30 years after. Look at what happened in that 60-year or 65-year period. And you can see why the church is as it is. You can see what the devil was doing to bring things about to the way they are right now. You can see how the devil basically damaged the church to a point where most of the young people were going away from church. And because that happened, the church had that Times magazine title, Is God Dead? And so therefore they had to change in a radical way. So in America, they gave it to the hippies. And we all know, basically, if we watch movies now, actual movies with hippies, we all go, these people are weird. They're all peace, man, and they don't realise that, that they want no rules, they want no judgment, they want no one saying what they're doing is wrong, and no one really questioning what they're doing. Yeah, that's negative. You're putting us down, man. You get all that sort of stuff. Yeah, but that's what we have in church. That's what I had. But when they had that worship conference in the River Church, the bloke who had done the ministry, who should never have been allowed anywhere near ministry, because he wasn't called for God to do that, when I asked him why they're doing songs saying it's all about you, Jesus, and we put our trust in you alone, Jesus, when the Lord said it's about the Father, and you're supposed to be worshipping the Father, he said, oh, you're trying to bring us down. The temptation for me at that point in time was, well, even now, the temptation was me to say, oh, F off. Bring that crap into the church. God's sake. But, so you can't blame the people. You cannot. Last bit of loveys for Lucy Lou. There you go. Yeah. They knew they were loved. That's the point. They knew they were loved. Well, you can't do more than that, can you? Yeah. It's what it is. As I said, you can't blame the people of the church because, the devil has wanted to bring this about and has used all these things to bring it about to the way it is. And so therefore you understand that. And he's done a good job. He has. But God has wanted that to happen. I will explain to people the reason why you can see my arms moving quite often is because the original videos, these videos, were me doing subjects, or talking about things as I was doing the walk and talk. And what I found there is that it was too noisy. because if there were people talking or dogs barking or birds singing or just rustling of the leaves, or as you're walking you hear crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. So therefore the sound was quite poor. So therefore I said, right, okay, let's take away the audio from the videos and use the videos without the audio and just add audio to it. Therefore you get better quality audio, and so therefore that is the whole point. I mean, ideally speaking, what I'd love to do if I lived in a place that was nice and had a nice sort of view, I would just leave the camera recording for a couple of hours, that view, and have new videos that I could use. But it's nice to use these because I get to see Molly, Chewie, Lucy, Amber, Riley, and all the rest. There's Amber there with her haircut. There's Chewie, Lucy with the stick. And so, in the end, it is what it is, isn't it? We are where we are. And there's Molly Collie, Riley ahead with the green collar. Anyway, there you go. But as I say, look, understand that it's not about worshipping the enemy. It's not about bowing down to the enemy, but it is about understanding, look, we have an enemy who is far more qualified than we are. If we are not willing to be led by God, if we're not willing to give it over to God and allow God to do this, so allow, in this chess game, allow God to be our champion, then we're going to face defeat. We're going to get beaten. And this is just what happened in the church. We had a church where basically through the Pentecostal church, we had a church that was again focusing upon the spiritual gifts and about being led by the Spirit. But that lasted only for a time. Only for a very, very short time. And then we had the point, I say, 1970s is when, it was the 1960s and 70s is when the church started, creating these Bible colleges to be trained in this way. I believe that is the case. I'm not totally sure. Maybe they were doing it beforehand. Don't know. But it's when they changed to this way of happy clappy, grace, mercy, can't say anything that could offend, water down truth if necessary. If that truth could be offensive, then water it down. And that's the problem. You've got some of God's principles mixed up with demonic principles. And that's how people are faked. That's how people are conned by that system. It's because the church has enough of the principles of God, but it also has some demonic ones thrown in. And that's why I say it's not as simple as you look at a church and it's completely given over to the devil. No, completely given over to the devil doesn't mean it's full of lust and people are murdering each other and you've got all the evil things going on in the church. No, it means you've got a perversion. It looks like the church, but when you look deeper, you can see it's doing things according to the world. A perversion of the truth is not truth. That's why a lot of people get conned by all these other churches. The Church of Latter-day Saints is a perversion. Jehovah's Witnesses is a perversion. The Catholic Church is a perversion. Islam is a perversion. They're all perversions created by the devil in order to lead people away from God. Right. But in doing those things, he's done a blinking good job of them, because they've trapped all those people, haven't they? They brought in all those people to a perversion, making them think it's truth. Because there's enough truth there. And this is the point. I think a lot of people think when I say that the church has been given over to the devil, it means that it's something that it's not. It means that I'm saying something that I'm not saying. Yeah, the church is utterly and totally evil and demonic. And you can't see anything of God. No. The church isn't hell. Hell is hell. Hell is completely the absence of God. Church isn't. The church has a lot of the words of God, a lot of the things of God, because they still preach from the word of God, but they water it down. Watering it down is demonic. And yeah. If you water down truth, suddenly it's not true anymore. And anything that isn't true is a lie. Lies come from the devil. And so when you have a church that prefers lies to truth, well then, yeah. It therefore belongs to the father of what they prefer, which is lies. And so there you go. It is what it is. It is simple when you understand. So you take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.